So yeah, you want to get start?
Yeah, if I can.
Okay.
Okay, so hi everyone. This side Rohit. So today Faridabad MuleSoft meetup group will will be introduced on the MuleSoft CI/CD using GitHub Actions, and Amit, who is the leader also for the Faridabad meetup group, so he will be the speaker. And Amit, can you go ahead? So safe harbor statement. Speaker and host are organizing this meetup in their individual capacity only. We are not representing any companies here. This presentation is strictly for the learning purpose only. Organizer, presenters do not hold any responsibility. That same solution will work for your business requirements also. This presentation is not meant for any promotional activities. Housekeeping. A recording of this meetup will be uploaded to the event page within 24 hours. Questions will be submitted, asked at any time in the chat questions and answer tab. Try to make the questions and ask them. If you want the mic, you can ask the access and try to make the session more interactive, more friendly. Give us the feedback. Rate this meetup session by filling the feedback form at the end of the day. We love feedbacks. It's bread and butter for our meetup. Speaker for the session is Amit. He will introduce himself soon. Can you go ahead? So the organizer for the Faridabad MuleSoft meetup is Pankaj, Mitali Chaudhary, Amit, and myself, Rohit. So I can introduce myself. So myself, Rohit, I am working in Pesero, an entity data company from the last 3+ years as a senior lead engineer. I'm a MuleSoft mentor, leading the Faridabad meetup group and active tech contributor. If you want to have any tech blogs related to MuleSoft and Salesforce, you can always go through my Medium profile, and happy to connect with you all. Thank you. Yeah, Amit, you can go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Rohit, for the introduction. Yeah. So first of all, thank you everyone for taking the time out on your Saturdays. We know that it's really hard for everyone, especially on the winters, to wake up early and then connect for the meetups. So we really appreciate you are here. That means you really want to learn something. So with that, I'll start with my introduction. I think some of you might already know me. So my name is Amit Singh. I'm a associate technical architect, and I have overall, I think, 9+ years of experience in Salesforce and MuleSoft, and I've been awarded as Salesforce MVP 3 times, and then if I talk about certifications, I've got 21 certifications in Salesforce. The recent achievements that I have is that is, I have completed my master's in DevOps architect from IBM and Microsoft. As Rohit mentioned, I'm also Faridabad leader. I'm leading this group along with Rohit, Pankaj, and Mitali. And I usually post the questions, videos especially related to Salesforce and MuleSoft over my YouTube channel, PantherSchool and SFDC Panthers. I love to post the courses over Udemy as well. So I'm also Udemy authors. So I have 4 to 5 courses over there. And if I get time that I usually used to, I usually read the holy books, especially related to my religion. And I love to explore the ancient India. So that's all about me. And you can already see me, so you know how do I look. With that, let's take a look into the agenda that we are going to go through today in next 45 to 60 minutes. We are going to talk about the prerequisites that we are expecting from you all, that you must be having the prerequisites for implementing the CI/CD. We are going to see the workflow of GIT with GitHub. It could be any other external system like GitLab, Azure, Bitbucket, any cloud system which is used for, I would say, the storage, the cloud storage. Then we are going to talk about a little bit about what GitHub Action is, because That's the key point for our meetup today. So we are going to talk about what is GitHub Action. Then we will see an existing pipeline, how the existing pipeline looks like. This is not, I would say, this is not a fully maintained pipeline. It's not a complete pipeline, but you can utilize this pipeline as a template for your project to get started with. And then we are going to uh, see the step-by-step implementation of how you implement the CI/CD pipeline. The Q&A you can ask at any point of time. Rohit is there. He'll pick up the question. And
Yeah, sure.
if if you want, you can always speak. We would encourage you to speak instead of putting the question in the chat. That would be easy for you and for us as well. And then in the last also we'll have the Q&A. If you want, we can also discuss in the last as well. So before we go ahead, a disclaimer from my side is that I'm not an expert. We all are here to learn. So if I make some statements which are not correct or partially correct, please excuse me or correct me if you know that this is not the correct statement. And if we get stuck somewhere at the demo, I might refer the previous pipelines which I have developed. So please don't judge me on that. It's just a request from my side. Okay. So let's talk about the prerequisites that you should be knowing or you should be having. So I'm assuming that you all are familiar with Git and with any like you're familiar with Git and you have used Git with any cloud systems like GitHub, Bitbucket, Azure, or any cloud system which is used for managing the repositories. You know how to develop the MuleSoft application and have a MuleSoft free MuleSoft Anypoint platform account to implement this. If not, please go ahead and sign up for your free MuleSoft account. That is for 30 days trial. And you are somehow familiar with the Cloud Hub deployment using Maven as a tool. So here in this demo, we are not touching 2.0, Cloud Hub 2.0. We are just using Cloud Hub deployment itself, and we are using Maven. We are also not going to implement fully furnished pipeline. When we say fully furnished pipeline, like we are not touching settings.xml, we are not touching the private repository, the Nexus repositories that we can only access after giving the credentials of our organization account. We are not touching that. We'll just create a basic Hello World application and we will deploy that. So these are some of the prerequisites that you should be knowing if you wanted to implement CI/CD. So basically, Git is I would say something that you should always be knowing if you really want to implement CI/CD for any system. It's not only for Salesforce, MuleSoft. It could be for Salesforce. It could be for Java application, .NET applications, Node.js applications, anything that you want to implement CI/CD with. Git is the baseline for that. Let's talk about the workflow of GitHub, how exactly the workflow looks like as a developer when we work. So let's say that we are two developers, developer one and developer two, both are working on their own local machine, right? This is a local system. They are working on their own local machine. They have made some changes on the feature or the bug fixes or the new release. Now, because the changes are there on local system, we cannot deploy them. We can only deploy them once the changes are available into the remote system, in our case, which is GitHub. So the process of deploying, or maybe I would say pushing the changes to the remote, that the first step that developer is going to add all their changes into the staging area. They are going to commit the changes, providing a valid message. For example, added a login button in the UI, or maybe added a new method in the API, orders API or customers API. This is going to be a valid message. And then the step third is pushing the changes to the remote. So as soon as user push the changes are going to be into the remote. And similarly, the dev 2 is going to follow the same process for his or her changes that they have made on their local machine. When we say local machine, it's like Anypoint Studio that most of us download and utilize it. Nowadays, there is something called Code Builder which came, but uh, I'm not sure how many of us are using, but that's how the flow works. It's not for only for MuleSoft. Again, this is something I would say general workflow that usually happens with GitHub whenever we are working It's not like it just says GitHub, but you can use GitLab, as I said, Bitbucket, anything. And once both the developers has basically pushed their changes, like 2, 3, 4, or 5 developers, then there is something called PR or MR is going to be raised. And once that PR or MR is raised, then the changes are going to be merged. And this is where our work start as a CI/CD person. As soon as, so there could be two places. As soon as there is a new changes being pushed on a certain branch on the GitHub side, you are going to run your pipeline, you are going to execute your pipeline. Or as soon as a new change is being merged into a new branch, you are going to execute a pipeline. I have seen both of the cases where the pipeline is being run at a feature branch level as well, and the pipelines are being run at a main branches. This one is more useful. This one is more, I would say, in practice nowadays, that changes are being run only when, sorry, the pipelines are being ran only when the changes are being merged to a specific branch. There are multiple reasons behind this, like you can push hundreds of time in a feature branch and you don't want your organization to hit the deployment 100 time until unless you want them to be merged and release those, or maybe at least test it in a dev environment. That's one most common reason for not running the pipeline at a feature branch level. For the demo purpose, we are going to run a pipeline at a feature branch or in our branch, which is dev branch itself. We are not going to create PR or MR. We're just going to see how the process works. Now, as we have merged the changes to GitHub, this is where the deployment works. Like as soon as we merge, the deployment starts. In our case, GitHub Action will try to deploy the changes to uh, MuleSoft. Now, you can either directly validate, or before validate, you can run something called unit test. You can also, like munit you can run those before validating, or you can even at the time of validate, you can run at the time of deploy, you can run your unit test cases. You can run the scenar cases or VMD cases. Most of the cases, mostly in case of languages like Java, Apex, or Node.js, .NET, we usually run these test cases, or not test cases. These are the scanners to find the issues in our code, vulnerabilities in our code, so that we can inform the developer that, okay, there are some issues in your code. Can you fix this and then post the changes again? And no matter if it is a success or if it is a failure, you are sending a Slack notification, Microsoft, if you are using Teams notifications, or you are also sending the notifications to your email. So these are some of the high level process about our, if we talk about CI/CD. And at the end, if we talk about Slack notification, this is how our Slack notification going to look like when we uh, complete developing the pipeline. So I'll take a quick pause of maybe a minute or two to see if there is any questions or anyone wants to ask anything before we proceed. Right? Do you see any questions?
Hello, Amit.
Yeah. Hello.
Once development will done, right, we are pushing to code to git future branch, right? Again, we are merging that one. Again, if we got any changes, again we need to merge to main branch every time.
Yeah. So let's say you have a feature branch. Okay. Let's say you've got feature branch F1, right? And then you merged it to your dev branch. Then here you got some issues. Then you again have to create. Then don't use this branch. This was practice should happen. If we have used one feature branch once and that has been merged to dev branch or whatever the higher branch is, start using this feature branch. That's the recommendation from my side. I always recommend not using the feature branch twice. Create another feature branch from this dev or master, whatever the branching strategy that your organization follow, and then again raise a PR here to fix the issue. That's what the actual or the ideal process should be. So if there is any issues, you will have to again make the changes, uh, um, maybe in a new branch, or you can also make the changes in the existing branch. It does matter in some cases, it doesn't matter in some cases. So depending on your organization branching strategy, It is important you to understand how they want you to process, and then raise a PR or MR. Basically, both are the same thing. So you can refer the word either PR or MR.
Okay.
I hope this is clear.
Yeah, got it.
Okay. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. So if not, then I'm going to ask the question. So maybe Rohit, I'm on a different screen, so I can't see the chats. Okay. So I'll ask the question, and if someone is putting the answer, that's good. So how many of you are familiar with the GitHub Actions? Like, can you put your answers in the chat like 1, 2, 3, 4 scale? 1 is the lowest and 4 is the highest. Anyone? I need to see. Okay. 1, 3, 3. There are many people who are actually familiar with this. GitHub Actions. Okay. 1. So uh, I think we have got mixed kind of audience that where they are new to GitHub Actions. They have just started. They know how to use, and there are people also who are kind of expert, I would say, on the advanced level in GitHub Actions. That's good to know. So there is a question, not sure or not clear why you do not build feature branch automatically. You can definitely build the feature branch automatically. That's what I said. It completely depends upon your organization structure. What your organization is following, or like what is the instruction from your architecture? Do they want you to build the feature branch as soon as you post the changes? If that is the instruction from the architect team, you will have to do that. There is no option for you. If architect says that okay, this has to be done, this has to be done. You have to do that. If your architect says that okay, I don't want you to build the moment you merge the feature branch. Sorry, not merge. I don't want you to build the uh, complete build at the time of your posting the changes to the feature branch. I only want you to build as soon as a PR is created. Then you have to do that way. And there would be pros and cons for both the scenarios. I would not take this session to there where we are talking about pros and cons of building at different label, either PR is created, PR is merged, or feature branches post. We're just going to see how you can implement both kind of scenarios in your YML file. That's what we are going to see here. So I hope the answer is clear to you. Then we have got another question: how to set up artifact repository? Is there a pricing model for JFrog or similar applications? I think this is something that someone who is really working on all these things like Rohit can help. So Rohit, if you could help answering the question from Shreyas, that would be really good for me. Definitely, I think there should be a pricing model for applications like JFrog, but that is something which Rohit might know. I have never done, to be honest. So I don't see much questions. I just see the numbers. Okay, that's what the answer to my last question was. Okay, so if we talk about GitHub Actions, okay, so there are two different things. So don't get confused between GitHub and GitHub Actions. GitHub is a completely different thing. GitHub Actions are completely different thing. So GitHub is basically, I would say, an organization, a platform which hosts the GitHub Actions. And GitHub Actions are basically, I would say, GitHub Actions provides you the platform to implement a continuous integration or continuous delivery for your software applications. Your software applications could be written in any languages. See, GitHub Actions supports all the languages. You can deploy it to a different locations, including different the concepts like containerization, Node.js. Anywhere you want to deploy, you can utilize GitHub Actions to deploy your changes. It's really a powerful tool because it uses I would say, the latest technology for writing the pipelines, which is YML, that supports the multiple scripting languages like Python, Shell script, Bash script. So if you want to write your scripting, like your pipeline, with a mixture of YML, Node.js, Python, Bash script, or Shell script, you can always utilize the GitHub Action. It supports every single thing that you want. So that's a little bit introduction about GitHub Actions that you should be knowing. Now, if we are coming to the syntax of GitHub Actions, so the syntax is pretty much easy. And let me tell you, if you don't get it for the first time, you don't understand it, you really don't need to worry about this, because writing the YML structure is not that easy. It will become easy slowly or gradually when you start using it, when you start writing, when you start reading the documents. So sometimes what happens, we start, we don't get what is happening, what syntax is there, what is the error, and we somehow tend to drop the things whatever we are learning. So if you're not getting for the first time, don't get, I would say, demotivated, or don't worry about that. You'll keep getting the things. And there are so many, I would say, there are so many blogs, there are so many resources where you will get the template pipeline for yourself, for a product like MuleSoft, Salesforce, Node.js, Java. So you will get tons of resources out there. So even if you don't understand the YML, you can easily go take the pipeline, take the template, utilize it in your pipeline, make the necessary changes, and you are good. You don't need to be expert in writing the YML scripts. So that's what my suggestion is. So coming back to our syntax, the very first syntax is the name, which is basically, I would say, this is really, whenever you're writing YML, everything has to go with a key value pair. Everything will be in a key value pair. So the key here is name, and we are saying we are separating it with the colon, which tells that, okay, this is a key. So the key is name, and this is the name of your job. It could be deploy to sandbox, deploy to developer, deploy to production. You could name it anything. This is just a name of your pipeline, or your workflow, not pipeline. This is the name of your workflow. Then there is something, I think, runner name or run name or something, which basically displays in the actions. What exactly that syntax is, how you get all these syntax which are valid and available at a certain places, we are going to see soon. Then as we talk about that, like when we wanted to deploy the changes, do you want to deploy the changes as soon as there is a push in the feature branch, in the developer branch? You want to deploy the changes when there is a pull request raised to the higher branch. You want to deploy the changes when there is a tag created, when there is a label added to a specific pull request. There are so many things, so many questions that you might ask yourself. So the answer is on keyword. This on keyword in GitHub Actions, I think most of the uh, the DevOps pipeline, including the Azure DevOps, both uses on keyword. I think the Azure DevOps use trigger to trigger a specific event, but to trigger any specific event in GitHub Action, we use on keyword. This on keyword within this on keyword, you can add your keyword like push. Push is like you want to trigger your pipeline in case of push event. Pull request is something you want to trigger your pipeline when there is a pull request raised. Then there is something called tags. There is something called labels. You can implement many things. Now coming back to push, now you define that, okay, I want to run my pipeline on the push of, like on the event is push. Now you need to tell the system, okay, which branch you want to include in push. So you have this branches tag. You can include your branches here like this. Like if you want to include feature branch, you say feature forward slash star. That is going to take all the feature branches, which starts with feature. Developer is your branch. So developer is something that you do. And then if you want to control that, okay, if I make the changes into the specific folder, then only trigger, because this pipeline will not be into your code base. So if you're making the changes into the pipeline, you will not want it to the pipeline get triggered, right? You will not trigger the pipeline because you might make the changes 1,000 times while you are developing the pipeline. So you will not want your system to trigger the 1,000 time pipelines, right? So you can always add the paths here, which is going to say if there is a change, any changes in this folder, then only trigger the pipeline, otherwise don't trigger. Similarly, for the pull request, you have to tell which branches you want to include in the pull request. Like I have added here master and main branch. I have not added master and main branch here in case of push. So when there would be any pull request which will be raised to master and main branch, then only it is going to trigger the pipeline for these two branches. The types of pull request, there could be closed, open, merged. I think there are 4 or 5 types that you can define here in with the help of this hyphen, or you can also define in the array. There are 2 different ways you can define that. Again, we have added the paths here. What are the path when there is any changes in the pull request to trigger the pipeline? So this is the basic syntax just for giving the naming convention of your pipeline, just for saying that, okay, there is these are the basic things to set up your pipeline. I'll again see if there is any questions. Okay, there is a question. Any reason to merge of dev to feature and feature to dev, or can we do it in other way like feature to dev and dev to feature? So see, there is a completely, I would say, for this you need to know how the git git works. That's what I added as a prerequisite, but I'll just shortly answer your question. You cannot merge your master, you cannot merge your higher branch into your lower branch. You will always merge your lower branch to your higher branch. And that too, you will merge your lower branch to the higher branch, which is originating branch. For example, you have a dev branch, and from this dev branch, you have created a feature branch. So this feature branch will be merged to dev, because this dev is the parent. This dev is the originating of feature. That is how you will merge, and that is how the Git works. Not GitHub, I'm talking about Git. That's how the Git works. You will not go and say, okay, merge the dev into feature. That's not acceptable. There are different regions, multiple merge requests, merge conflicts will come into the picture. Your like this, because this dev is something which we are expecting to be in the stable state. Feature is something you as a developer is playing around with the features. You are even coding something which is not even needed for you. When we say for you, that means that is not needed even for a organization. So you play around with your feature branch, we don't care, but you cannot play around with the dev branch. And then this dev branch might be coming with the branch something called UAT. So you cannot directly go and say merge UAT with the dev branch. Dev branch is going to be merged with UAT. That's how the process works. To learn more, you really have to go learn about Git. You can go to GIT-SCM and you will be able to mm, get all these concepts there. So I don't see any other questions. Okay, you can also reach out to me over LinkedIn and I can guide you how you can learn all these things. Okay, on the syntax part itself. Okay. Okay, there is question from Amrita. Do we have commands in YML to auto merge from main to feature branch? We don't have, first of all, to shortly answer your question, we don't have. And the second thing is, we never merge master branches to the feature branches. That's what I just said. We will never go and merge. We will always take pull from the parent branch to the child branch. They are 2 different things. Merging is a different thing. Taking pull is a different thing. So if you want whatever the changes are there in master or main branch, you want that to be your feature branch, you have to take the pull. So you will take a pull from your parent, and then you will get all the data which is there in the parent that will come to your feature branch. If there are merge conflicts, you have to resolve those merge conflicts and you're done. You got your code from master to your feature branch. You will not go and say, okay, raise a PR, You will not do on the platforms like GitHub, Bitbucket, Azure DevOps. If you want, you can do on your local machine by writing the Git commands. That is acceptable because no one is going to take a look into your machines. But if you really want to do this on the UI, that's not acceptable. The reason is it's not a good practice. Second thing is that you as a developer will never have access to create a PR or even do anything on the main branch. So I hope that answers the questions. So now coming back to the syntax itself, in GitHub Actions, we create the flows. Okay, and every flow will have something called, if I talk about, we have a flow that is a YML file. That flow will have job, and that job will have steps. You can have multiple jobs like test, build, and deploy, and then you can have also have like post deploy scripts, something that you want to run. So similarly, as we talked about, there would be a key value pair. So we have got this test, which is that is a job name, and you can, we will talk about this needs later on. As of now, just skip it. You will have to specify each environment you want to run your job. Are you using, do you want to use Ubuntu, you want to use Windows, you want to use Mac OS, you want to use Node.js? Basically, you have to tell the GitHub action that I want to utilize this machine for performing the complete CI/CD, for at least performing all the steps which are given in the job test. So that's what you have to go ahead and tell this. What are all the machines? What are all the options that are available that you can find in the GitHub documents? Like we have got Ubuntu latest, we have got Windows, we have got Mac OS, we have got Node.js, and multiple other platforms. Like if you talk about Docker is also there. Then you have to define what are the various steps you want to perform inside that job. So there is a job called test. You wanted to perform multiple steps like checking out the code to the recent commit which user has made, putting the catch, or creating a catch if you want to make it faster. If you want to make the faster process, you can create the catch, you can create a key, and you can get it in later steps. It is completely dependent upon you how you want to create a catch, which files you want to put into the catching process. But most of the people, or most of the blogs, documents which I have read, everyone is talking about taking a hash of form.xml file, because this is the core of your deployment, core of your MuleSoft project. So most of the time we take this pwn.xml file, we get the hash, and we create the key, something like this, and we utilize it. If you don't want, it's not necessary a step to have the catching in your pipeline. And then you just do it. You build with Maven, and as Maven requires Java, so if you get some error, Maven, something like Java is not recognized or something, you will have to add some steps for installing the Java as well. Because when you do this all in your local machine, you have to install Maven, you have to install Java, you have to maybe sometimes set up a .m2 folder, you have to sometimes set up settings.xml file. All these you have to do. But in case of GitHub Actions, you have to tell the GitHub Actions with the different steps, the name of your steps. If there are some prerequisite, like I would say not prerequisite, I will say pre-developed library. There are many people who are developing the libraries, the actions for GitHub. You can utilize those. GitHub itself has multiple actions, including checkout. You can utilize those actions and install the Java, Node.js, run the bash script, shell script, run the Node.js script. You can do every single thing. You just need to tell the platform. You just need to use the appropriate steps to install the software that you need, and you're done. So that was about having a job in your YML file. Now this job can be like, this is the just one job like test. You can have validate, you can have deploy, you can have post to Slack, you can have post to Teams, send email, you can have all those kind of things. So this is the next, right? We talked about the stage called test. Now we are talking about the job called deploy, and it says needs. Again, we are going to talk about this needs. These are all again the steps, whatever you have, all those kind of things, all the steps that we have talked about. The only difference here is the step says that okay, this is deploy, and we're just deploying with the help of mvn command, like mvn clean package deploy, and these are all the parameters, all the, I would say, variables that we have to pass in order to deploy any mule project. That is all we have about the jobs and the syntax. So before we go ahead and talk about something else, the next topic, any questions so far, anything that you want to ask or you want to discuss? I really see people are not interested in listening me. Okay, I'll take the silence as no, or could be anything. But let's talk about next topics. Or before talking about next topic, let's see the existing pipeline that we already have. Okay, so I have this existing pipeline, and this is basically a private repository. I am going to make it public so that you all can access it now, because this is having a template. And if you want to use this template for your use, you can always, for your reference, basically, you can always reference. Okay, understand. Okay, what it says. Okay. Okay, so this is now a public repository. Okay, I'm just putting it in the chat so that you can take this as a action. Okay, so this is basically a link that we have, that I'm using, that I'm going to showcase here as part of demo. You can utilize it, you can see it. So I have this pipeline written with me. Okay, there are two files. First of all, whenever you want to write a GitHub action for MuleSoft, for any project, for any, I would say, language, any software development, what you have to do is you need to make sure that you have got a folder, the root folder in the root directory, and the folder name is .github. This is required. You must need to have a folder called .github in your root directory. Okay, it should be on the root directory, and under that GitHub there should be a folder called workflows, and that should be under .github folder. If you don't have this, your pipeline is not going to work. So you need to make sure this hierarchy is maintained. .github, and under .github there is a folder called workflows, and under this folder you can create multiple pipelines, multiple, not pipelines, I would say, multiple workflows. Depending on your requirement, you can create one for master, one for developer, one for UAT, one for integration, one for dev, one for feature. You can create any number of workflows that you can reuse the workflows as well. Again, those are all the high level concepts. High level in the means advanced concept, I'll not go there. I'll just quickly showcase my pipeline which I have developed here. I hope everyone can see it, because the letter seems to be small. Okay, I hope now you all can see. Okay, yeah, so as I talked about, the name is something which you want to give the name of your pipeline. Where this name will be displayed, we will see in maybe 5 to 10 minutes. The name is site build and deploy to sandbox in Cloud Hub. Then, as we talked about, what are your events that you want to put? Basically, the screenshot that we have seen was from this pipeline itself. Like I'm saying, I want to, like, introduce or trigger my pipeline whenever there is a push event or a pull request event. There are more. So how do you know if there are more, right? So let's say you added on. Okay, very important thing. Whatever you add here, you set on, and if your cursor is here at the starting, you need to make sure either you are using two spaces or you are using one tab. This is going to be the correct syntax. Anyways, if you write the pipeline here in the GitHub UI, it will give you the error. But if you Don't write this pipeline in the UI. You are writing in the systems like a Notepad or VS Code. You might not be able to write the correct indentation. So to write the correct indent is use two spaces, like spaces two times or tab one time. And then you use, if you're writing here in the UI, you use control space. And if you do that, you will see what are the valid options available here for your event on. So you will see these are the multiple options available for you. Like you have called releases, status, workflow call, repository dispatch. There are multiple options. You really have to go through with the documents and need to understand what is the significance of these. We talked about labels, we talked about issues, and there should be something called tags as well. I don't see here, but I have used in my Salesforce deployment using the tags and all those for cherry pick. So you can use those as well. So you just need to hit control space and you will see every single thing which is valid for that specific area. Because every area is kind of having their own set of commands, their own set of keys. You just have to utilize those. For example, if you are here on the top and you do a control space, you will see run name. This is what I was talking about, that there is some another tag. You see defaults, you see concurrency, the environment variables. If you want to put the permissions, what is the what all the required permissions that this workflow can have, like for example creating the issues, closing the pull request, commenting on an issue, or creating a project, creating a wiki page, or reading the values from the complete GitHub run. So all these permissions are here. Creating the variables, you can use env. So this is basically one thing that will really help you to develop this pipeline. And we have jobs here, right? Forget about this environment, we'll talk about later on. And as we talked about, we have jobs, and this is the name of job. So as I said, it's a plural number. We will have multiple jobs inside these jobs. So build is one of the job, and if you want, you can just use control space to see what are all the options available here. So there would be multiple options which are, I would say, same, or there would be some options which are not same, right? So you can have that. Then if you talk about the needs, let's talk about this needs, right? So sometime what you want is, you want that, okay, one job is dependent on the previous job. For example, this test job will only run if the deployed is success. If this sorry, if the job build is success, then only test is going to run. So basically first build is going to run, then test, and then deploy. So if you want to make sure, if you want to uh, control the order of your jobs or your steps inside a job, not I would say jobs, your steps inside a job, you will use needs. And this needs keyword is basically accepts an array. So you can accept, you can put the value something like this as well, and it will not throw any error. So this is the needs, controlling the order, or tells that which all steps should be completed before running this test job. Okay, that's what this needs it. And then we'll talk about this checkout. So every time you're committing any changes into your repository, you need to tell the GitHub system that, okay, go and check out to the latest commit which was there. If you don't check out to the latest commit, your build will fail, your pipeline will fail, and you will not be able to do that. You'll not be able to perform your GitHub, whatever CI/CD you want. So your first step should always be, in every step, your first step should be checking out to the to the correct and recent commit. So all you need to do is just use this kind of syntax. And how you find this? So if you see this collapse panel on the right, you click on this and you search for checkout. You will see this is provided by actions itself. That means it is provided by GitHub. You click on this and you will see the complete installation, how you are going to do. So the latest version is 4.1.1, and I'm using 3. So if I want to make change, I can say v4. I'm not using the exact minor version here. I'm just saying major version. So if you say major version, it is always going to point to the latest minor version, whatever the actions has published or whatever any other partners has published. Then again, as I said, depending on your need, if you want, you use the catch. If you don't want, you skip the catch. And then you just utilize the maven commands to build, utilize the maven commands to test or deploy. And as we talked about in the initial pages, initial scripts presentation, that we are going to see how you are going to post the status message to the Slack, right? Your job is completed. These are the steps completed. This is the failure, not actual failure. These are the steps which failed. You can use the actions, different actions for posting the information over Slack. And again, this is one of the action I have used, but you can always go to the marketplace or you can always Google it, like Slack integration with GitHub Actions or post to Slack using GitHub Actions. You will see multiple applications available there. Multiple actions are available there for you to use. For example, I usually prefer to use this marketplace. So if I go to marketplace and search for Slack, you will see there is something called Slack Send. This is something by Slack API. I'm not using this. This is Slack GitHub Actions. I'm using this one because I love the presentation, the way this particular actions gives us the output. So depending on which one is required for you, use it. But very important, before using these actions, always take the approval. If you have a team which is taking care of all these kind of integrations, they say, okay, you need to make sure that you are taking the proper approval. So go through with that process so that you don't get into the trouble in near future if they find out that you have integrated Slack using GitHub Actions without telling them. Okay, so you have to make sure that you're going with the proper process. And the the rest is same. There is just a step, sorry, there is just a job. We have some steps. Runs on is the Ubuntu latest. I'm not sure if doing a control space gives you the list. It doesn't. So this is what we have. Just a simple repository, that's just a template. And if I talk about the template which you might be interested to, so you already have a link. So this template.yml file is the one which basically have the basic template that you can utilize in order to get started with your pipeline. Okay, any questions so far? There are many, but yeah. So the question is, there is a question in the chat, what kind of tools do you have to draw these red arrow in the screens? This is just out of box functionality of PowerPoint. Basically, there is no tool I'm using. This is out of box functionality you can use. So when you present, on the bottom left you see some tools toolbar. You can see those toolbars and play around. You will get those. And then, okay, there is another question. If multiple pipeline requires some common installation, example Java, there is a way to define this installation globally. Maybe something that is packed by all the pipelines. Oh, sorry, picked by all the pipelines. Definitely there is a way. To answer your question, yes, there is a way. If you really want to see, you have to basically go and search for reusable workflow in GitHub Actions. This is what the keyword that you have to do. Reusable workflow, GitHub Actions. But anyways, in all the pipelines, that workflow is going to run and the Java will get installed every time your pipeline is running. So there are two things. The answer is yes and no. If you say that instead of writing the same code again and again in multiple pipelines, can we have it at one centralized location and use the same code using a one-liner or two-liner? The answer is yes. If you say that, can we stop installation of Java or in Salesforce SFDX We cannot do that. As of now, there is no such kind of flexibility available for GitHub Actions or for any pipeline. There is no flexibility available until unless you host that in your local server. If it is your own hosted server, for example, you have taken a machine out of AWS or Azure, then you have to install only once and everything is done. That is a separate case. In case of cloud, these are all GitHub Action managed machines, so we cannot do anything. Okay. Then we have got another question from Venkat. Can you explain how do you maintain the anypoint credentials and how to pass? Yes, I am about to come there, Venkat. Don't worry. We'll see that in a little bit later. Can we reference this workflow as reusable assets? I think Shreyas, you got your answer as well. That this is something you have. Okay. I have one of the pipelines which I have developed for Salesforce, which is again a public repository. So if you want, I'm sharing this URL, which is GitHub Actions, and GitHub is the .github is the folder workflows. So template is the main file. Okay. If you see this, I'm also going to explain. Template.yml is the main file, and if you see this template.yml is calling on line number 40, this is referencing to some other workflow, which is something called reusable workflow.yml, and this is my file. And I have got the bunch of code for deployment, running the test cases, running some node script, doing some manipulation, blah blah blah. And there are so many steps here I have added, but ultimately I can utilize this workflow and call this from multiple templates like production.yml. I can call that main.yml. I can call that a script, or GitHub actions.yml. I can utilize that. So I create one YML file which contains every single thing and then utilize it at multiple places. You can have your own central repository for actions, but for that you need to be very good at writing the Node.js, TypeScript, interfaces, and all those things. And I'm assuming you will not go that route. So this reusable workflows, these are really powerful. If you get to know how to use it, you will really love it. Coming back to our coming back to our topic, not to basically go anywhere. Yeah, there was a question from Venkat that how do we pass the anypoint credentials whenever we are deploying? So there are two important things. The number one is you need to add the configuration into your pom.xml file. Okay, that configuration says that below, I think below this tag, I've just added it here. Below org.mule.tools means in your pom.xml, you need to add the configuration here. And that configuration says Cloud Hub deployment. Okay, if you already have one configuration, you need to add this portion, Cloud Hub deployment. And this is where you are going to, let me make it big. Yeah. So Cloud Hub deployment is a tag. Inside this tag, there are multiple small tags which are going to accept multiple information, especially the information about your anypoint platform. Like what is the URL, what is the mule version, what is the anypoint platform username, what is the password, which environment you want to deploy, sandbox, developer, or production, what is the business group, what are the worker types, either it is a micro or whatever the valid options are, worker size, all these kind of things you need to provide here. Now you have two options. Either you give the credentials here itself. Okay, for example, you put this configuration and you provide the username here instead of writing it using dollar curly braces anypoint.username. You say, okay, just provide your username, provide your password, provide the environment, says sandbox, provide the app name, whatever the name of your application would be, the business group, the worker type like micro, small, I think, no, I don't remember all those names, worker size, you are good. Now the problem here is if you provide the credentials here, those can be exposed and your security team is definitely going to hunt you. that you are exposing the sensitive information through a repository. Now, what is the next thing that we can do? That we can use the credentials, we can change anytime when we want, and those are secure itself. Those are not exposed to anyone. Only few people can see it, and only few people have the ability to basically go and make the changes. Then the answer is secrets in GitHub Actions. Every CI/CD pipeline has their own way for managing the secrets, but in GitHub Actions, the name itself is called as secrets in GitHub Actions. Now, that is what we were going to cover. Before secrets, we are going to cover variables, and then we will cover secrets. So what are the variables? So like we all know that variables are used to store some static information or maybe some information after doing some processing. In GitHub Actions, variables are very simple. If you want to store some reusable information that you want to use at various places, and that is tend to change in future, that is also not sensitive, you can utilize variables and put your, like for example, the branch name, the login URL, or any other information like the email subject, email addresses whom you want to send the error messages, that you can utilize here in your variables in GitHub Actions. There are various ways or different levels where you can define the variables, and this is how the process flows. You can define the variables at a job level. You can define the variable as a uh, flow level itself. Thank you, Pankaj, for joining. Then you can also define the job. Sorry, yeah, it should be flow label first. Then job label is number two. Okay, flow is number one. Repo is number three, and organization is number four. Why I'm putting all these numbers here? So let's say you have created a variable, something called hello world, and that variable is, let's say you have created that variable hello world at this organization label, okay? And you are using that variable in your pipeline. So how GitHub Action is going to do? First, GitHub Action will go, is there any variable which is stored at a job label? Okay, stored at a job label. And then if it is not there, then it will go, is there any variable stored at a flow label with the same name? If it is not there, then it will go and find if there is any variable at a repo label. If it is not there, it will go and find if the variable is at organization label. It will find, say, okay, yes, take the value. If not, take blank as a value or throw error. So that is how GitHub Actions finds the variable. It starts with the job, go to flow, because job is the child of flow. So job, flow, repo, and organization. Okay. Organization is GitHub organization. Repository is your own repo. Flow is, we have already seen the YML file, and job is something build, test, deploy, these kind of things. Now you might not have necessary access to make the changes to the repo and organization label. Only the repo admin can make the changes at repo label. Organization admin can make the change at org label. Okay. And we as an individual don't have any organization, so we cannot see that in action, but if you want, you can always create organization. So to refer these variables in your YML file, how you are going to refer? To access the variable in YML file, to access this repo and organization variable, you need to use this syntax: $, double curly braces, where's dot the variable name, whatever you have given, like hello world or something, you are done. And use dollar and the name of your variable to access the variables which you have defined at a job level or flow level. If you use this process like wires dot secret name, that will also work here for the flow as job level variables. So this is about variables containing insensitive insensitive information. That is fine. No worries. Anyone can see in your repository. Now coming back to the sensitive information, which is like username, passwords, client credentials, sonar access, GitHub access, Slack access, Teams access, all those things you would be wanting to store inside secrets, right? And there are two ways to define the secrets, repo and organization. First, it will check at repo level, and then it will check at organization level. So to access the secrets in YML, the syntax is similar to the variables. The only difference is here we need to tell it is secrets, and in the variables we need to tell it is a variable with the help of a keyword called wheres. That is what the difference is. So this is the place, secrets are the place where you will provide the sensitive information, whatever the sensitive information you have, like username, anypoint username, password, what is the environment type, what are the business groups, worker size, Slack token, anything that you would want, you will want to store here inside secrets. Now let's see that where those secrets are. So you need to go to your repo. Okay, now it's a public repo. So you need to go to this repo, go to settings, and then on the left hand side, you would see something called actions. Okay, under code and automation, you will see something called actions. Go there and click on general. Sorry, this is not, sorry, my bad, not actions, my bad. This is secrets and variables under security. So secrets and variables, if you go there and click on actions, you will see all the secrets that are here. Okay, so if you see, I have got this repository secrets, and these are my credentials at a repository label. And if you see, the tab which is selected is secret, and the tab which is selected is variables. So you can create more variables. For example, if I say hello world, and I say welcome, that's it, and click on add variables. So if you see, the variables are showing the value, but if you go to secrets, secrets are not showing the value. It says, okay, you have updated everything 2 years back except these two values 14 hours back. Now here is also a catch. I think no one asked. Not sure if they are listening. There is a catch here. No one is listening. Okay, at least one person. I did it intentionally. Okay, I just wanted to see who is attentive to the session. Thanks, Mayur. At least you are listening. Okay, so I was saying there is one catch here. Okay, and then catch is, if you have multiple environments, the credentials might differ, right? For example, for dev environment, the credentials are different. For UAT environment, the credentials are different. For production environment, the credentials are different. So no one asked how we are going to manage that. So in that case, you have something called environment in your pipeline. In your under secrets, you'll find environment. And here you can create environments, multiple environments. Based on environments, you can have multiple secrets. So if I click on this manage environments and click on new environment and say, let's say dev, and click on configure environment, now we will have our own environment called dev, and here we could create secrets and variables as well. So if I want, I can say anypoint username and provide username, whatever the endpoint username is. Like for my endpoint username is content learning 14, and add it as a secret. So this is where I got my endpoint username. This is one secret. Now if you want, if you click on update, you will never see the old value. That is the purpose of secret. Okay, you will never see the old values. Similarly, you can have the variables here. Okay, let's say hello world, and add the value, and then add variables. So you will see that here is the variable. Now there is again very important thing to take care. Whenever you are creating the variables at different environment level, make sure the variable names are exactly identical. So if you have used in user like this any point underscore username for environment dev, use the identical variable in the different environment. For example, UAT. Use the identical variable here. The reason why I'm saying identical variable, because when you will access the variables using environments, you would not wanted to write the different variable names, and you will not wanted to write different set of pipelines for different environments. You would always wanted to reuse the same pipeline, just change the environment, that's it. Right? Is it clear? Any questions for, about like related to this as of now? I would really want to hear your voice, guys, because I just keep speaking and I'm just speaking here.
I have asked one question, Amit, in the chat.
You can I can see that, but yeah, if you can speak, that would be easy for me. I'll get some break.
Okay. Okay, so I wanted to know if we can filter out the access to different environments, because not everyone should get access to the production credentials, right? So can we also make sure that only few people can get access to maybe production and more people like get access to UAT and dev?
So there are two parts I understand. One, are you talking about Anypoint Studio platform? Sorry, Anypoint
No, no,
platform?
no, no. The environments in action in GitHub Actions.
Okay, so first of all, this environments and the actions, the secrets basically, can only be managed by the person who is the owner or admin in your repository. So I think that is where your answer lies. If
Okay, okay.
I'm the owner of this repository, I'm easily able to manage it. But if I have to give you the access to this repository, you will always be added as a collaborator, right? And when I add people as a collaborator, I'm not sure if I think I have a different account with this. Yeah. So if I have to add this person as a collaborator, I can change the role of this person. So once this person has accepted, there would be a drop down here for changing the role. We can always change the role of that person. So if that
Okay,
person
okay. So
is,
if you are admin, you always get access to all the secret.
yes,
Okay. I
so
got my
that's what
answer.
happened.
Thank you.
So that is
Yeah.
where it lies. Okay. So there is a question. Okay, pipelines can create in GitHub using the syntax in where, sorry, I'm joining late. Then we don't need AWS Secrets Manager, am I right? I think I really not able to understand your question. If you could speak, that would be really good for me. Maybe if you could explain, if you are not, if you don't want to speak, please, if you could explain how, what is basically your question, I'll take this later on. Now, coming back to the environments, the concept of environments. Yeah, I was talking about that you need to provide the name, the secret name as identical. The reason I'm saying the secret name as identical, because if we get back to our pipeline, let's say that you have created multiple workflows. Okay, let me take this workflow copy. Okay, and I'm going to create a new file inside workflows with the name called, let's say, developer. Okay, I'm creating a new workflow for developer. Okay, something called this. I just pasted the code. I'm going to remove pull request. I'm going to remove feature. Okay, now let's say you wanted to run this pipeline and take the variables from developer environment, because this is for developer. You wanted to take the variables from developer environment, and some sort of place you have developed a reusable workflow and calling that workflow here. Okay, so what you will have to do is, there is a capability of providing the environment name. So this is the name. So if you say environment dev, any secrets, any variables that you utilize here inside steps, those will be taken by the environment called dev. That is why I said, because you set the name dev as an environment, and if you don't have the secrets like Nexus username or any point username and password, your pipeline will fail. So always on a better side, on a safer side, as a best practice, always have the identical secrets at a different environment. There could be additional secret based on the environments, like in production, there could be other secrets except username, password, and others. That is fine. But whatever the common secrets are there, that the name should be identical, values could be anything. So now if you give the environment name here, dev, and you access something called secrets.anypoint.username, anypoint underscore username, that it is going to find the secret inside environment. Now this is also a very good thing. Okay, you have got environment, right? So if you don't find, if GitHub Action don't find the secrets inside this environment, it will find at a repository level. Okay, you see here, let's go back. If the GitHub Action don't find the secrets here in environment, the GitHub Action will try to find the secrets inside repositories. Okay, if you go to the secrets, GitHub Action will find the secret inside repositories. If GitHub Action didn't find the secrets inside repository, it will try to find the secrets inside organization. So I think there needs, the PPT needs to be updated. It should be environment, repository, and organization. So I have organization in my GitHub, like this is my organization. If I create secrets here, if I go to there is security, okay, secrets and variables. If I create secrets here with the same name, it will try to find the secret here as well. So providing an environment says that, okay, if the secret is there inside environment, that is good. If not, find in repo. If found, okay, that is good. If not, then go to organization. So these are the three different labels where you can define secrets. So this organization is something like some common secrets you can store at organization, which will be used across all the repositories. You can store those common secrets. In case of repository secrets, any secrets which would be based on repository, you can use repository secrets. For example, this Nexus username and password, I believe these should be stored as organization label, right? So all those kind of things you could utilize there. So that's the concept of secrets and storing the secrets in your, like storing secrets and fetching those secrets in YML. If we see, I have seen this, let's go to template. And if we see here in the bottom, this is basically where I'm referring the secrets. Okay, let's talk about environments once, variables. What happened? Just a minute. Okay. So we talked about variables, right? Like we will have variables at like job label, flow level, and then repository level, and then organization level. So there are two ways to access the secrets. There are two ways to access the secrets. One, you store secrets into the environment variables and then access it, or you directly access it. For example, I believe, okay, this is the master one, sorry. Yeah. For example, what I did is basically I created environment variables inside the job. If you see here, I have used env and then I have created the variables here. However, the variable names are same, but still I have created a variables and I said in the Nexus username, store whatever the value is there inside Nexus username secret. So there is no environment provided here. It will go and find the variable in the repository. If it finds the secret, it is going to store it here in this variable Nexus username. And similarly, repeat it for all the values, all the secrets that I have. Now I have got these secrets stored into the environment variables. Now, if I have to utilize it, I can use $sign vars dot whatever the name here it is, or I can directly call these secrets in my command. Wherever we are using the maven command deployment. So if you see here in the bottom, what I have done is I've said, okay, mvn clean package deploy, and these are the properties. Like we all know that whenever we wanted to pass the properties, the arguments, we use -d, and then we just give whatever the name of our property is and provide the value. So that's what we have said here. Any point dot username. Now, how do we know this is the name of property? If you remember our pom.xml, the syntax which we have seen, if we go here and see the Cloud Hub deployment, this is the property name, anyPoint.username. So whatever you provide here, that exactly should be added here, anyPoint.username. Sorry, anyPoint.password. I am reading it from my environment. If you want, you can read it from the secrets directly. No difference at all. You can use it. And I was recommend to use secrets directly here. Then anyPoint.username. What is environment? I'm just passing static values like sandbox. What is business groups? Passing static value as PantherSchools. Worker type is micro. Worker size is 1. Mule version is 4.4.0. And then I have some secure properties that I'm using here. Okay. So all these kind of things basically coming as part of our deployment commands. And once we do this, execute this, where all you will see the results. That's the important thing. To see the result, either the build successfully passed or failed. So for that, if you go to actions, inside the actions, you will see all your whatever the result happened. Like for example, this is the one which I ran in the night yesterday. Right? I got a success message here. Now you see here the names. These are the names which we have given in the pipeline in the YML. We have given the name, right? This is the name which basically tells you your YML, your workflow. If you click on this workflow, it will filter all the workflows for this YML only. You click on this name, you will see all the complete summary here. First build was ran for 4 minutes 20 seconds, then test for 1 minute, then deploy for 3 minutes. Some warnings were here because I think I'm using some of the deprecated versions. That's why the warnings are here. Artifacts is here, the jar files which we have uploaded and downloaded, because deploying could be using two different ways. Either you directly deploy using maven commands, or you deploy using maven commands and provide the jar file that, okay, this is the jar file and now download it and deploy it. So you can follow any way, and that's what I have basically uploaded an artifacts over here. You will see whatever the total duration was, what is the billable time. I'm not going to talk about this, how many artifacts we have. You can run the reports, unit test reports. You can upload it here as an artifact. You can download it later on and see whatever the failures were there. There is a flexibility of all that. You can always see that. So I will take, I think couple of questions are there. Can we also manage? Okay, this is, I think, done. There is another question. Is there any chance that you can show how to run simple scenario before adding more complexity to the config? Is there any chance? Okay, yeah. So let me show you. Okay. When you have to use jars pre-built, you have to rebuild if the runtime version changes, I believe. I think so. So, okay. To run the simple concept, okay, how to run it. I just basically just wanted to walk you through whatever we have, but how to run it is very simple. Let's say if I have that, okay. I'm assuming everyone is okay because we are already 1 hour 30 minutes in the session. I believe everyone is okay if we go maybe 30 minutes more. If everyone is okay, we can go. Otherwise, we can just talk about the last topic and then done. Okay, good. So this is basically Anypoint Studio, which I have opened. Okay. Now my Anypoint Studio has some of the projects which I have here. I'm going to create a new project, and I'm assuming everyone knows that how to create the project and all. So I'm going to say Faridabad Meetup. Okay. Rohit, you can correct the spelling if I type it by mistake. Okay. Let's finish it. So we have got this project, very simple project having a listener and then maybe a transform message. That's it. Just two elements we have. So transform message is kind of going to give us a JSON output. And I would say message. Again, I think this is something called hello world. Then let's say meetup and we'll say Faridabad, India. So this is what it's returning as an output. The listener, we are going to configure it. So let's configure the listener on the default port, whatever we have. Click on OK. Provide the path as I'm going to say hello-world. So this is a simple project that we have developed. I don't think we need, there is any need to run this project to test it and all those. So we are not going to do that. Now, what was the first step? Let's say you have a project that you have developed. Now you want to implement the CI/CD from start. So you'll go to pom.xml. That's the first step for you. And what you have to do is you have to add the configuration, right? We talked about adding a configuration, right? So where you are going to add the configuration and all those, I have this basically in my repository itself. So we have, I'll just take this, but again, this is not like you have to refer this document itself. If you go and search for Cloud Hub deployment using Maven, or you say cloud, yeah, you'll get where you need to add. Okay. So I'm just going to copy this configuration, okay, and paste it where what it says. Go and paste it where the group ID is equal to org.mule-tools maven. Okay. Where is this? I think we can add it anywhere, right? Rohit? Hello. Okay, I think I'll add it here. We'll see if this, okay. It's not the correct, so we need to add plugins, I think here. Forget it. I'll check my existing POM. I'm really sorry. That's why I said don't judge me when there is something goes wrong. Okay. So yes, we need to add it within the plugins itself. Okay. So build plugins and then plugin, and inside this plugin we need to add. So we have got build plugins, plugin, and here we need to add this one. This is the one where we need to add. Okay. So we've got configure, we've got extension is true, configuration, and under the configuration we have got our Cloud Hub repositories or Cloud Hub variables. Good. So this is where you need to add these properties. Now URL we know, I think it's always same, anypoint.mulesoft.com until unless you have your custom domain, so you can change it. And these are basically the properties that we are going to pass from the GitHub Actions. Okay. So we are not going to make any changes here, but if you want, you can change the name of your variables. That is accepted. Okay. But we are not going to change anything here, and let's save it. So we just saved, make the changes into our POM XML and saved it. Okay. Now, one thing that I would say, sometimes we get some error because of this Apache Maven. So I'll just cross verify. What is the version? That is 3.2.0. That is good. So now once we have got this repository, sorry, the project is up to date, what we have to do is we need to push this project to the top, top in the sense remote in GitHub, right? Or before that, you can also create the folders if you want. I really don't want to create the folders especially for the demo in the local machine. So we'll create folders, we'll set up the pipeline and everything there. Okay. So let's do the right click on the project and click on show in, and then System Explorer is the option which is going to open the location where our project is. Okay. So I'm just going to select that, and the project is opened. And just a minute here. So this is my location. Okay. Um, Guys, can you see my folder? Okay, you can see it. Okay. So this is the file. Now I'm using Mac. So based on your OS, whatever you're using, please open the terminal for this folder, inside this folder. Okay. Terminal means for Mac OS, it is terminal. For Windows OS, it would be command prompt. So I'm going to do the right clicks for Mac and open the terminal at folder. So if you are a Mac user, just follow the steps. If you are not a Mac user, if you are a Windows user, please open the command prompt inside that folder. And here we are in. I'm just increasing the size so that you all can see. So what you have to do is the very first step, if you run the command called ls for Mac, you will see what are all the content that you have inside your directory. Or if you are in Windows, if you use command called dir, you will see all the folders that are available inside your directory. Directory is not supported for Mac, ls is not supported for Windows. Okay. So first thing that you have to do is see if there is any branch. So if you say git branch, you say fatal, git is not a repository and all those. That means if this folder, the Faridabad meter folder, is not yet to set to use as a repository. Okay. So what you have to do is, now there are two things. There could be already existing repository in the remote, or you are creating a brand new repository. So I'm showcasing in case of brand new repository. For existing repository, if you want, please reach out to me separately and we can discuss on that. So what you have to do is you just have to write a command called git init, and that's it. Okay, it says, okay, we have got the git. Okay, git is initialized. Now if I say git branch, you can see it's giving me nothing. It's giving me nothing. That means there is no error, nothing. We got the git got initialized. Okay. So now this repository is a GitHub repository, but this is a Git repository. Okay. But we still don't see some of the configurations which actually tells us if it is a Git repo or not. So because the folders which starts with dot are actually hidden by default. So if you want to see the hidden folders, you need to change the settings in your Mac or Windows. You can just go ahead and see the hidden folders. For me, I used command shift dot to see the hidden folder, and you can see there is a folder called .git and there is a folder called .settings. If you see these kind of folders, especially .git, that means your folder, your repo is actually a Git repo. Okay. Now you need to deploy this to the branch, to the remote. For that, you need a repository in the remote. So let's go ahead and create a brand new repository. So I'm going to create a new repository, and here we will say Farida, okay, Bad meetup, and I said 27th Jan. Okay, and with this, I remember there is a typo in my PPT. Just I'm making it as public. I'm doing it nothing. I'm just creating a repository. Once you create this repository, I'm just giving you all so that if you want, you can take the reference from it. So once you have created this repository, copy this URL, whatever is here in the quick setup, just click on this copy and it is going to copy. Next thing that you need to do is, you can see here, these are the steps it clearly gives you. So what you need to do is, you need to say, it says git add, whatever you git init, then you need to run this git add, then you need to run this commit, then you need to create the branch, and then you need to do all these things. So I'm going to perform all these steps one by one, but in a different way. Okay, so go to this terminal and we will see git status. So as soon as you run the command called git status, it is going to tell us how many files are there which are not added to the staged area. I'm not going to talk about stage area as of now. Okay, so what we have to do is we see that okay, these are the files which are in staged, which we have make the changes but not added to the stage area. So to add all these files at once to the stage area, we will say git add space dot and enter. Now if you run the git status command, you will see in the green color. When you see in the green color, that means these files has been made changes and are available into the staging area. Okay, now next thing is we need to commit. So we'll say git commit -m and we will say initial commit, or you can, that is what I usually prefer when I'm doing the first time commit. So I say initial commit. You will see that these are all the commits which have been created with the commit ID C94B803, something like that. Now we have got this branch. Now if you run this git branch, you will see that there is a branch called master. You have got this branch. Okay, now next step is to, now this is your local, right? This is your local. There is a remote. How the local knows where I need to send the data? So we need to tell our local system that anything inside this repository should go to this remote. So that is where this command comes, git remote add or add origin. I'm going to copy as it is and paste it here, and we are done. Okay, then we are going to push it to the main branch, which will fail for me. The reason I'll tell you later, but let it fail first. So it got failed, right? Why it is failing? Because I have two repositories connected to my system. One is for my different repo and one is for my personal repo. So as of now, my connection is referring to the different project repository. So allow me a minute. I'm going to basically change the access. Okay, so it should be keychain access. Just a minute. It will take only 1 minute for me. Okay, GitHub actions. Please do not go there. Okay, that's fine. Notes, everything is open. Okay, that's good. So where is okay, so I'm going to change the password basically here. Save changes, passwords are done. Now I'm going to post. Okay, we are still getting reference. Okay, main, the reason it is giving the error, okay, I will tell you why, but let me first complete this. Okay, so we were getting this error even after changing the repository because our branch, when we ran this git branch, we got something called master as a branch name, right? And when we were running this command git push origin main, we are saying that you need to push the changes to the main branch on the on the remote, which was never the case because we never had a branch into the remote with the name called main. That's why it was giving the error. As soon as we changed the branch to the original name, that is master, we got this, that okay, this is working fine. Okay, now if you go to repository and do the refresh, you will see all your code is here. You have the master branch, you don't have any other branches, all your code is here. Now you got it. You need to start developing the CI/CD pipeline. You need to go to actions. This is your tab, and as you do, you have not developed the CI/CD, your pipeline, your folder structure doesn't contain .github folder .workflows. It is going to ask you to select which pipeline you want to configure here. As I said, right, you can see there are multiple languages that are available here. We are going to use setup this workflow because, or let's use simple workflow. It is easy for us. We are going to use configure, and you see workflows is a folder which got created. .github is a folder which got created, which shows here, and this is our file. So let's say master.yml. Okay. Now it is kind of giving you all the configuration that you really need for our basic CI. It says name. Let's say we can say my first MuleSoft CI/CD. Just change it. It says controls when the workflow will run. It says on if you're pushing to the master branch, pull request, master branch, let it be. Don't make any changes. On workflow dispatch, this is something we will discuss later if time allows us. Then we have got a job which says build, runs on Ubuntu, steps. It is by default doing the checkout for us. So we really don't need to worry about that. So we will say uses, it says, okay, version 4. We have seen the latest one. Okay. And then run. This is just running a script. This is just running a script. Okay. Now let's click on commit changes. You can say, this is a message. You can say created master.yml for MuleSoft CI/CD. Just a commit message. Okay. And directly commit into the master branch. We don't worry about creating a new branch and all. And commit the changes. You will see that master.yml file is committed. Okay. Now the good thing is, because you have this event set to push, branch set to master, and we have made the changes to the master branch. If you go to actions, and you will see that your pipeline, your workflow has ran on the master branch for 11 seconds now. And if you click on this, you will see that you had only one job for build, right? So you got it. This is your very first pipeline without anything related to MuleSoft. Okay. Now let's go to the pipeline. So we'll go to workflow file. We'll get back to the same place. We'll click on edit, and we are here into the master branch, master.yml. Now let's say you want to do the deployment to your MuleSoft, to your MuleSoft application. So what I will do is I'll just copy and paste one line of command from my existing pipeline. So we'll say, let's go to, not here, workflows, master, edit, and I'm going to just copy it. Okay. I'm going to copy this command, this whole command up to here. Okay. Let me collapse this to here. So everyone is getting it right. Could you please put yes or no? Okay. So thank you everyone for confirming. So what I did is I just added a deploy to sandbox step, given an ID. We don't need environment. So you can have the variables at step level as well. I don't need this. I'm going to do all these. Okay. What we will do is we are going to run these two commands, and I'm going to remove the command as of see. So let me tell you what is the significance of this hashtag. So if you want to comment anything on your pipeline, you will have to use hashtag, and hashtag is used for commenting the line. So what I did is I said, okay, let's comment these lines as of now where we are passing some values. Okay, let's utilize these main commands like mvn clean package install and mvn clean deploy. We are not giving username and password as of now, right? Let's commit the changes and see what happens. Are we getting any error? And if we are getting error, what is happening? Okay. So let's go to the actions of this repository. And you see here, as soon as we pushed the changes, our build got triggered, and we are seeing that, okay, deploy to sandbox is now running. So let's see what is happening. It's downloading all the repositories, all the dependencies which are there in the pom.xml, and it is going to do all the process that happens behind the scene. So let's wait for maybe 30 seconds or a minute, and we will see the error message. So you can see here, right? It says failed to execute the goal, and this is the goal which we wanted to execute, mvn clean install. And we said the packaging for this project did not assign a file to the build artifact. Okay, not sure what this error is, but we got this error in case of mvn clean install itself. So I'll just take help from Google, but if anyone knows, like Rohit or someone, if you know why this error is coming, please let me know so that we can uh, maybe skip or save some time. Rohit, if you are here in the call. It says mvn clean install. Okay, it's different. It's not at all. Okay, this is MuleSoft. Let's see what happens. It says this is a known issue with issue when deploying using mvn Maven 3.8, but we're not using. Okay, that's fine. I believe this is what the issue that we are getting is. This is a known issue. Solution, it says that we need to say mvn clean deploy, and this is what we have to use. So we will go ahead and quickly edit it. If this works, well and good. Otherwise, we'll skip it for now. So I'm just going to comment out the first line, and I'm also going to add this here. So we are just having this clean deploy as of now, and we are going to commit the changes to see the deployments. And if you keep getting any questions, please put into the chat box, and we'll be happy to discuss. So it is again deploying all those things. In the meantime, let's talk about the other part, which is now the second one. Now we wanted to deploy it, right? Now how you will deploy? So let's say I'm going to just comment out this, will not commit it. So we need to provide the password, right? You need to provide the password here. So I'm just providing the password like testing at 1, 2, 3, 4. Username at content learning 1, 4. Environment is sandbox. Business group is PantherSchools. Worker type is micro. Worker size is 1. Mule version is 4.4.0. We don't have anything called secure key. We don't have anything called properties. I think where is this app name? Okay, there is in our pom.xml file. Which Maven version you've got? I'll share. No worries. I'll share in some time. Please allow me. We were just developing this. So in the pom.file, we've got this something called app.name. So let's give the app name as well while passing the parameter. Okay, here it is. So we'll say -d app.name equal to, and I'm going to take the same branch name here like this one. Okay, so this is what we are here. We are having provided all the parameters. Okay, I'm not sure if this password is correct or not. If this is correct, it will deploy our changes to our environment. Okay, so first of all, let's see why it failed again. So it failed again. It says failed to execute a goal or failed to deploy, and the project this failed to deploy. Okay, why it says failed to deploy runner jar snapshot. Okay, it doesn't. Okay, here it should be error. A mule version is not present in the deployment configuration. Okay, yeah, that is also the issue because we have not provided the mule version. How? So if you see the our pom.xml file, right? This is the mule version that we tried to pass from the property, but we actually are not passing. Now, if we make the changes, make these changes, which says, okay, let's pass all these values through a property and commit the changes. I believe it should work now. Like we might get any other error, but it might work as well. So that is how you will be passing the properties for a, okay. Immediately we got the error. It says error executing Maven, the specified user settings. Oh, okay. Setting.xml, that is true. It's not available. Settings.xml. We really don't need this file, settings.xml file. And this will happen with you as well, okay? When you keep writing the pipeline, you start writing, these things will happen with you as well, like you are not able to do all those things, that kind of things, okay? So, thank you, Prabhakar, for giving the mule version. I think we got it. Please add this in the POM file. Let's see if fails, we will add this, whatever you have given as a suggestion. But yeah, could you remind which Maven version you have got? So this is GitHub Actions, and GitHub has its own Maven version. So they are using their own Maven version, but in your pom.xml file, you can put your Apache version, which is this 3.8.2 is the one which we are using. And Prabhakar said that we should be using 3.8.0. So if we get any error, we'll change it to 0, and that should work. For Maven plugin, we are using 3.2.0. So to answer your question, if I'm sorry, I am not able to pronounce your name, but to answer your question, 3.2.0 is the Apache version that we are using, Apache Maven. So it is kind of taking time, and we got error. The packaging for this project does not assign a file to build artifact. I think we have to change this plugin version to 3.8.0. Yeah, thanks, Prabhakar. I have got this kind of error earlier as well. Googling and then changing the version works. So I hope it is clear, right, how you are going to write the pipelines. And if you get the error, you have to Google it, because with every releases, there are some issues coming up, and that is something MuleSoft is also available. So aware, not available. They are kind of working on the things. So that is how you basically do all these things. If this works, all good. And if not, we'll talk about the other things. So I'll log into my platform. Okay, it says, yeah, now I think I'll skip this part. Okay, because this is not working. We have to Google it and find out why exactly it's not working. It says install plugin 3.0.1. Why it says like that? Just a minute. Okay, we have commented all these things. We are using now this. So please, I'm really sorry, because I'm not able to get it why exactly the issue is coming. But this is what is a basic or bare minimum MuleSoft pipeline that looks like for deploying the changes. Okay. And then you can add it, and then you can extend it, like having the secret variables, having the environments, having the different integration like Slack and all. So if I show you my previous, sorry, what is happening here? So if I show you my previous pipeline, which I was talking about, which we have gone through, this actually have all those Slack integration and all. This is really working fine. So what we have done here is basically, I will show you after the deployment, what we are doing is we are posting a message to the Slack with the help of this action. This is Slack v2, and as I have shown you how you find that action. Like, sorry, if you go to Slack, this is the action which I'm using. When you decide which action you want to use, you click on this view full marketplace, and you will basically see how to utilize this action. And for this action, basically we need a Slack webhook URL, we need a Slack account, or we need to set up a connected application over the Slack to all these things. Okay, so I will show you step by step. And one more thing, the error which is coming, I'm going to take a look after the session, and we are going to send the step by step details over email so that you all can get and understand why the error was coming. So now let's go back to Slack. I have created a Slack account, and this is a free version, so you can go and create a Slack account that is free for all of you. Okay. Once you create your Slack account, you might be landed into this page. All you need to do is create a channel. So go to channel drop down, create and create a channel. You can create channel whatever you want, something like this, and click on next. If it is a public or private, select whatever you want, create it, and your channel is created after creating the Slack account. Next thing is that you need to do is go to this URL called api.slack.com/apps. So here you will not see any application because you have not created any. I have created like 4 applications here. What we have to do is we have to click on create new app. We are going to create from scratch, provide the name. Okay, we'll say Faridabad Meetup. Select a workspace. So my workspace is NTO, not MuleSoft community. Okay, this is managed by MuleSoft. NTO is managed by me, and click on create app. Next thing that you need to do is basically you need to click on incoming webhook, and we have to basically activate it. Click on. Once you activate this incoming webhook, you will see something like this, webhook URLs for your workspace. Here, what you have to do is click on add new webhook to workspace. Click on this, and then it will take you to your workspace which you have selected. For example, NTO. Select your channel, which is test123 demo, and click on allow. Then what it says, okay, I think there is some issue while it is allowing. Okay, now we got. So once you click on allow, you will see that there is a webhook URL comes into the picture. All you need to do is copy this webhook URL, go to your repository, wherever you want to integrate with Slack, click on settings, go to settings, go to secrets and variables, go to actions, and add this variable as a repository variable for the secret, paste the value, and secret name. What would be the secret name that you will get from the marketplace, from the plugin that we are talking about, and the name is Slack webhook URL. So just utilize the exact same name for your secret name and done. So once you do this, you are done, and all you need to do is next that you need to just copy here. It will basically give you the example. For example, okay, where it is? Yeah, here it is, examples. So you can see this is how your examples will look like. You can just let's say copy it, go to your XML file. For example, I'm adding this here. Okay, it should be properly indented. So why I'm saying if, as always, I'm saying this is going to be executed every time whatever happens. And then if you come back and put this after the deployment where we are going to get the error, if you put this, okay, there is no error. If you commit the changes, we will see the messages over the Slack as well. I'm hoping this will at least work. So the build is running. It is definitely going to fail, and we will see. Okay, let's see what happens. So if you go to Slack workspace channel, and if I refresh this, okay, it's not giving me anything. Could be because of some configuration issues. That also happens. So let's see, because it's failing, deploy to sandbox, and there are all other steps. So where is this? Run a multi-time. Okay, this is the Slack channel. Now it ran. Okay, run action, and the Slack channel. This is also ran. Okay, we actually got some error. It says no Slack webhook URL secret found. That is why we actually got the error. Error means this message was not posted here. So what I will do is, I at least wanted you to show that something is working. Okay, so let's see, where is this? First of all, I have added the secret in the same repository, right? Okay, secret is there. Select webhook URL, good. Then the document, it says with message channel, okay, GitHub environment, where is that secret? Okay, it says with webhook URL. Okay, let's copy this and try to add, but okay. Okay, we are going to say with webhook URL, and I'm going to add message. So I'll say message. Status is job.status. So whatever the status that your job is having there, that is going to be there. And then I'm going to say message that, okay, this is, we are trying to deploy. And if this not works, I will show you my existing pipeline. I'm giving it a final try. Okay, so our message is, yep, I think we got the message now. You see here? So the Slack message is coming, at least something I've shown you that this is working fine. So we got this. I think the other one will fail definitely because we have not made the changes there, but that is how your Slack integration will work. Then you can keep extending and extending. There are multiple other, like definitely there are so many enhancements that you can do in your pipeline. So from my side, this is what I wanted you to showcase and explain what exactly the pipeline is and how you are going to implement this. Now over to you, Rohit, if you are available in the call. Okay, I think Rohit is not here. He's stopped. So any questions, anyone, if you want to ask, please feel free to put into the chat and please share your feedback. Yeah,
Okay.
hi, Rishikesh. I think, do you have question?
Yeah. Good afternoon. So just one question from my end, right? I think in the workflow we saw that we have different jobs. So let's say before deploying to Cloud Hub, we actually want to get permissions from some of our stakeholders, right? So
Mhm.
do we have an option to, kind of have that placeholder, and only when you require that approval, you deploy that application to Cloud Hub.
That is there, that you can do at a specific branches label.
Mm,
So
okay.
if you go to settings, and I don't I don't think if I remember, but yeah, let's go to, I think, actions. Yeah, I think if you go to yeah, this is something. If you go to actions, the general permissions, you will say, you can say allow. Okay, allow to select. This is not the one. There was a place, I remember I doing it for one place. You can basically add here some places. These are the runners. This is not the place. But I remember you can add it,
Mhm.
and then it is basically requires approval. Unless approval is not provided, it will not deploy. You can
Okay.
do that.
Okay, that is good to know.
Yeah. So, but you have to find the settings basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
So yeah, that is yeah. Anything? Any other questions that we have? Thank you, Prabhakar. Anyone else? Any questions? If not, I think then thanks everyone. And it's good to see you all here. Although we were small numbers, but it was really good. Good questions were being asked. The issues were there. We did not able to make it work. As said, we'll send an email with these steps why it did not work. We will upload our recording to the cloud to the same meetup page within 24 hours.